In my world there is music and good vibes and laughter and lovers, adventure and friendship. We know who we are. And I don't think I would be me without you being you. Your direction, expression, intention has taken us far.
Okay, welcome everybody to Be the Wellness Podcast, episode number 5, coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Woo woo! That's what I have to say about that.
Intro music.
Yeah. All right. Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special guest on the podcast, someone near and dear to both of our hearts. And not only is she an amazing person and amazing coach, blogger, and all-around pretty damn fun person, she's one of our greatest friends in the world. So this is Katie Cordoza. Welcome, Katie.
Ooh, hi. Thank you guys so much for having me. And of course, I'm excited you're in Vegas, so I can just hang out with you all day, every day.
Well, we're excited too, because basically when we come to Las Vegas, Katie Bug cooks for us. She's our Katie Bug. If you didn't gather, that's probably going to be how we refer to her throughout the podcast. But
Yeah.
she takes such good care of us when we come to her home in Vegas. So Adam and I love it.
Oh, yeah. I love to cook. Make sure you guys go to bed like so sick full, and then we'll just get you away from the strip, go outside, climb Red Rock, just do all the things.
Yeah. So Red Rock, yesterday was actually the first day that Katie and Glenn took us out to Red Rock, and that place is pretty spectacular.
Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah, we did some bouldering / kind of like walking around on the rocks. Not sure which, what the technical term is, but it was awesome.
We'll call it bouldering.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was times we had to use all hands and toes on deck, right?
True.
Yeah.
And other people's hands, because there were some sketchy spots.
Yes. We had to get boosted at times, so. Mm-hmm. But that was beautiful. And like Katie said, we don't really, well, once in a while we'll go to the strip and hang out, but we like to actually just stay here in their living room where they don't have couches, but they have this huge shag rug and tons of pillows. And what are the couches called? Or what are your little...
Love sacks.
Love sacks. They're
Yeah.
like these big oversized pillows, and we all just kind of, mobilize and hang out on the floor, and it's actually pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah,
Yep.
My husband's writing Deathbound with Kelly Starrett, so right now we're in the thick of no sitting.
Yes.
And sitting is death, and everything will kill you. Not only gluten, but sitting too, so our house is kind of set up around those parameters.
It's true, and we've watched you guys, obviously, come to mention that. Glenn Cordoza is her husband, and he's co-author of New York Times bestselling book Becoming a Supple Leopard, written with Kelly Starrett. So it's cool because we've watched over the years as you guys have been involved in this project how, the furniture's gone away. There's more mobility tools. There's stretch breaks. It's like, get out and mobilize. Here's some bands. Here's some balls.
Yep. Standing during talking at all times, moving around, fidgeting. People are always looking at us like, stop moving, or making us feel guilty about sitting. I'm like, no, that's not my point, but I'm just kind of neurotic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy now. Like when we go on flights and we go traveling, our whole our lifestyle changes to adapt to those kind of things. So now when we fly, we're typically the only people in the airport stretching before, like mobilizing, getting out our yoga tune-up balls, getting out our battle stars, just doing all that stuff before we can fly. Same thing with even getting in the car. We make sure we stop like every hour to get out, stretch our legs.
Right, which is a good point, because this is something that we make to clients all the time is don't, get out of the paradigm of how fast can I get somewhere and into the paradigm of, all right, it may take me longer, but I'm going to take more breaks, get out, stretch, move around, and just look at it as a more holistic journey instead of if I get there an hour earlier, I win.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's, for me too, the whole CrossFit transition into life today, you know, is that's how it used to be about my workouts too. Is I sat all day or I would be doing whatever, and then I'm going to just hit a hard workout, undo all my sitting. Well, research is showing that you can't actually undo the sitting, so you just have to move all day. And once you understand that, then yeah, you start to set up your road trips to be able to move more. And stretch in the passenger seat quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. The person that drives gets shanked on the whole thing, but
I know. Sorry,
it works
Glenn.
out. Yeah,
Really good
It's
at
so
navigating and making snacks, but not so much the driver.
Yeah, well, and so I guess we'll dive in a little bit to your backstory because, as you just mentioned, you've done some CrossFit. Katie also has a blog called paleobug.com, and this is a blog where you talk about workouts, food,
travel, just any kind of recipe,
yeah, it's kind of your life overview.
yeah, I just get to do a little bit of everything on that, which is what I like.
Right,
Yeah.
and Katie's an amazing strength and conditioning coach. You've been a coach. How long were you a coach for? Or you still are a coach, but how long have you been in the sort of paradigm of coaching others?
I mean, since I was in high school, I started coaching just kids camps. Like, oh, there's a volleyball camp. Oh, okay, you're going to volunteer here. So I've just been coaching since then, and then actually getting paid was at NorCal 2008, and then I coached, I don't know, I coached for 8 years at NorCal, and I started at 20. So
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know years. I just can't really figure that out. Maybe one day.
Yeah, it's cool numbers, man.
Yeah, but that's NorCal Strength and Conditioning. Previously, CrossFit NorCal. This is Rob and Nikki Wolf's operation in Chico.
Right, and this is where we all met. So yeah, just a little backstory for everyone. So I guess let's dig back into that history a little bit. And well, how did you go paleo? First of all,
Well, yeah, how did I go paleo? Well, first off, I was training in Chico, and I was just interested in being a coach because I'd played college basketball. I was just getting finished with that and kind of trying to figure out where I wanted my life to go. And I had good coaches and really bad coaches, so I realized, like, oh, okay, maybe this is something that I want to get into because I definitely don't want to be the bad coach, and I'm interested in helping people on a journey to health and wellness that's not necessarily just so sports focused, like, oh, let's just do this to get better at your sport of choice. So I was kind of already in that mode. I was actually training for like fitness competition and like trying to do that whole thing. And I got into a really bad head place with it. I was just got super neurotic with my food. I was always starved out. I would like cry at restaurants because they would put butter on my chicken. I'm like, I can't eat fat. It's just so stressful. So I was kind of in that mode, and then my brother was working out with Rob and Nikki doing some wrestling training, and my brother told me about Rob and Nikki in this gym. It's like, oh yeah, they're crazy. Here's like this performance menu. They don't eat bread or dairy or beans. It's like, what the hell do they eat? Like, what do these people do? You know, but they could do all these cool things. So I ended up going down there, having a consult with Nikki, and then I started working out with Nikki right away and kind of just shifting my food, and that was the main bulk of everything. And then with her, I would start to communicate about how I wanted to coach, so she kind of funneled me into working out with Rob Wolf, and then I worked out with Rob for years, and then just eventually transitioned into like hanging out with him every single day, watching all his clients and asking him a million questions about what he does, and that slowly transitioned me into getting ready to coach at NorCal.
that's awesome.
And then I coached a whole bunch of on-ramps before they put me into his classes. So yeah, and it's pretty funny.
So it's a really good point because, you know, I think a lot of people before they find the paleo thing are low fat and really trying to go that route. And how was it for you from like an emotional aspect when you had to make that switch from eating no fat to now these people telling you actually eating fat's great and getting rid of grains is actually what we're looking to do?
Yeah, I mean, it took a good like 3 or 4 years to actually transition into the full thing because, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of neurotic food behaviors that have to be healed before you can actually go into understanding why you would eat to nourish your body. Like you kind of have to go through those transitions. I went with that transition through with Rob and Nikki too. They had to deal with a lot of my food neuroses, and then they would always catch me at the grocery store with like peppermint patties and like ice cream, and they're like, "What do you got up in the bag, Bug?" I'm like, I don't know, fruit. Like they'd check it out, and then the next day I'd be doing like so many sit-ups and burpees and just all this bullshit workout just to try to come back. So that was it for a bit, but then, you know, I got better and started.
That's awesome. That is one of the, it's like one of the hidden problems with the Chico situation is that there's only so many places to shop. It's a relatively small town, and you're always going to run into somebody that's like, "Hey, what are you eating?" You know, and then that doesn't stop when you're a coach. So like when you're coaching these people and you have a bunch of clients and you're like having a fat kid day and you've got 4 gallons of ice cream, you know, and some gluten-free cookies, and your clients roll up and you're like, "Oh
no.
Yeah, you're like,
there's a birthday."
I can kind of eat this sometimes because I work out hard and I'm kind of skinny. I'm sorry, you have a different journey, you know? But you're like, fuck, how do I explain that to them when you're at Trader Joe's with 3 tubs of ice cream in your cart? Just can't do it.
Yeah. Well, it's always interesting because, and that's one thing that that is interesting after you've done it for a while. Like all of us have been in times in our life very, very strict.
Oh yeah.
And really said like, okay, especially. Well, we all competed in CrossFit and did the CrossFit Games together, and we were very, very strict for periods of time in order to fuel our performance. So it's always interesting to recognize that those early days have really set ourselves up for success, so that, you know, now, like, yeah, okay, we can have some mangoes, or we can eat some pineapple, or, you know, like we can have a little bit of ice cream here and there. It's not the end of the world, but we needed that period of time to actually reset ourselves, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, definitely. And when we were first training with Rob, it was all about low carb and CrossFit.
Right.
So our whole view on like what carbohydrates are was really skewed. It was like no carbs are carbs.
Yeah.
So if you're working out hard, a fruit. I just got to this point where it was like fruit and honey and all sugar was all the same thing. So why would I just not have ice cream instead? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if I'm gonna have carbs, I'm gonna have ice cream, and I don't really want to deal with the fruit. Oh, fructose. Oh, you know, there's all those things. So
that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, it's one of the things that we kind of harp on quite a bit in the program is that the macronutrients aren't everything. I mean, they're super important at some point, as are calories, but there's, you know, a calorie is not a calorie from the way that it burns, but it's also, and probably more importantly, at least for us, is that they're not the same from the nutrient perspective.
Right.
So, you know, eating that piece of fruit, like you were talking about, you get all of the cofactors, you get all of the good, you know, vitamins and everything we know that are good for you from fruit. That's just not in ice cream, you know.
No, right.
Exactly.
But we missed that message early on.
Yeah,
we did. Well, yeah, you're right. There was that strong message of just stay low carb. Carbs are sort of the enemy, and it's like, oh, or maybe not. Maybe we just need to be a little bit more nutrient focused.
Yeah. It was just really in those beginning days of CrossFit and trying to stay uber lean and just perform at a super high level. Right. And we just got to be the test bunnies.
Yeah.
And we've learned a lot from it, you know. Now, how much less do we stuff our face with bacon fat? Like, you know, we're not just eating bacon and eggs every morning. We've changed a lot of things based off that, so that's good. I feel like I'm in a good spot with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so you talked a little bit about, you know, meeting Rob and how you started training with Nikki. And so basically, how long did it take before you started training there, before you started coaching clients? Do you remember?
Yeah. Probably about 3 years, 4 years, 3 or 4 years maybe. I spent 2 summers with Rob. Like, I went every single day because I was 18 years old. I had no job. I was just going to school. I didn't care about making money. So it was, every day I would show up from 9 to 2, 9 to 3 with Rob, watch him coach all his clients, and then I would work out in the night class and I'd go home. And that was the grind for 2 to 3 years before I felt confident enough transitioning into a gym where, I mean, the coaches were Rob and Nikki and Natalie Taylor. It's like,
Yeah.
It was scary. I was like, okay, I'll do this. You know, I'm 20. I got this. You know, try to stay confident. So yeah, but ended up obviously being like the best experience of my life. I met my best friends through NorCal. I mean, I'm on my health journey because of NorCal. Mm-hmm. I met my husband at NorCal. I mean, everything's kind of stemmed from that little gym in Chico. So it's been cool.
So that's pretty interesting because I was going to ask you how the experience affected you as a person, but I guess that really is true. I think it's true for all of us, and we've said this time and time again that little group of people at NorCal Strength and Conditioning, or what was CrossFit NorCal, changed all of our lives, literally.
Oh, yeah.
The seed was planted for all of us to really look at health and wellness and fitness and really say, how does this relate to ourselves, and how does this relate to the way that we want to move in the world and what we believe in? And, from that place came Glenn and Sarah Fregoso, you, us, so John Fregoso, Sarah's husband. There's so many of us who were so impacted by Rob and Nikki, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we owe them a great deal because they really did plant those seeds, and they sowed a community of people that really wanted to go out and spread that message.
And they're so passionate with their message. I mean, we just latched onto it because it just worked so well. It was, I mean, when we were doing CrossFit, our diet was everything. That's what allowed us to perform how we performed and what we did. And Rob's coaching is what got us to the CrossFit Games and competing as well as we did. So for me, I played college basketball. I've played sports since I was born, and doing CrossFit made me the athlete I never was. So it's like, once you get that factor and all the food, you're hooked.
Right.
Yeah.
John Fregoso was the first person I coached.
Oh, really?
And it was like during his lunch break, he's super busy. And John, like when I first met John, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's such a badass. Like, and now I know he's a badass, but he's just like more of a friend. So it's kind of family style.
Yeah.
But he came in and he was doing a heavy Fran, and Rob's like, okay, you're going to coach this today. I'm like, huh? It's like summer vacation. I'm like, not ready for that. Yeah. And I remember coaching him through and just like, good job. You got that. Like, good pull up. Like, didn't know what to say at all. Like, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not motivating you at all. Like, and it was one of the best experiences, really, because it was just, it made me find my voice, my coaching voice, realize that it does have some weight.
Yeah.
Dude, that's rough too, because Fran, I mean, even any kind of Fran, but especially heavy Fran, like that is just an internal mental struggle. I mean, there's a lot of coach isn't going to tell you anything you want to hear during that workout.
Right. And so for those of you who don't know, John, like I mentioned, is Sarah's husband, Sarah Fregoso of Everyday Paleo, and he is an incredible athlete, just naturally strong and fit and proprioception of a elite level gymnast.
Yeah.
He's just incredible. Yeah. So to coach him, to come in and have someone assign you to him is like, what am I going to tell this guy?
Yeah, totally. Well, and he's also an incredibly talented chiropractor. And
yes.
he's like pretty much the only reason that I was able to compete at that level for any period of time. Just sorting out all of the issues and keeping my spine straight.
Right. And he is a wonderfully nice person. So coaching him is like he's smiling through the whole thing anyway. So it's not like you really have to do anything but just say, keep going.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great story. Yeah, we're just so grateful for our little NorCal family and how we've watched everybody sort of sprout into their own beings and their own entities in the world. And certainly for Sarah and John, but also for you and Glenn, it's been amazing to watch your journey. Adam and I are a bit older than Katie. So when Katie was 20, or we met, I think, when you were 21, 22, somewhere around then. Yeah. Adam and I joined CrossFit a little bit later. And Katie was, obviously she was a trainer and one of Rob and Nikki's standout clients. But her and I became fast friends and became, workout buddies. And because Adam was working at the fire department, she ended up basically living with us and keeping me company while Adam would be away at work. So Adam and I joke because we kind of raised Katie. She was sort of our baby, and we took care of her while she was going through college and
Cooked all my meals.
Yep.
Trying slowly to repay them. Never fully will, but you know.
And then just recently, Adam and I actually hosted Katie and Glenn's wedding at our house where Katie grew up. So it was pretty cool because it kind of came full circle for us to celebrate,
It was so special.
our love for
perfect.
her and of course for Glenn. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Glenn's grown up in NorCal too.
Yes.
Like he's with Rob before Rob even started the gym, like practicing
Well, they
like
train
martial
jiu-jitsu,
arts.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah. And while Adam was gone, Glenn was gone the whole time in Thailand training. So yeah, we bonded so quickly.
Yeah, we definitely, for some reason at that time in our life, it seemed like our guys were gone for they were just, there was a lot of time apart with them. So we were so lucky we had each other to train and keep ourselves busy and shop for shoes online.
Yeah. And cook every night, watch shows on end.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was a sweet time. It's still a sweet time.
Oh yeah, exactly. We have all the fun.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about Woodchen?
Yes. Let's hear about Woodchen.
I'll spell it. Woodchen.
It's wood and kitchen combined into one word. That's the
It's a
Woodchen.
sandwich.
Yeah, I started a wood kitchen. It's wood products for your kitchen. My dad owns a wood shop. He logged before he owned the wood shop, so I feel like we've always been around NorCal and the forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's had that shop. For some reason, I've never really considered being in the shop, but I went down to the shop one day, and my dad and I built a huge cutting board out of a whole bunch of scraps. And ever since I've built that, I've used it every day, and I can't imagine cooking without it. So now when friends come to my house, they ask about it and kind of ask where they can get it, and now I can provide. So that's kind of how like that transition happened.
That's
so yeah,
awesome.
so now it's cutting boards, which is like the main gig, because of course everybody needs a cutting board, especially if you're cooking paleo. Like if you're cooking you're prepping a ton of vegetables and meat, you need a large work area. It makes things so much better, especially if you have a nice knife. You want to keep your knife sharper longer. So yeah, so the cutting boards, and then now I'm transitioning into like trivets and some other products just because it's fun. Like I like doing things with my hands and doing like coachings too. I love coaching people in person and showing them things. It's kind of what gives me great joy. So yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, it's funny. You wouldn't think that coaching and creating kitchen products would really relate, but they do when you think about how you have to really sculpt things with your hands and move things into the right place to get the right outcome.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of like what I was telling you earlier is one of the most important things for following a paleo diet and a healthy lifestyle is being able to cook. Mm-hmm. And that's cutting board is like the center of the kitchen. It's where all the meals start. So
It's true.
Definitely all comes together.
Katie gave us a couple of cutting boards, and it was amazing because I never realized before how I was cutting on my cutting board and you just run out of space. So these cutting boards are large enough that you can actually chop things and then push them down to the side of the cutting board, keep chopping, and by the end of it you have space for whatever you're working on, and then your nice pile of vegetables and whatever at the end. It's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
once you cook with one,
Yeah.
you just can't
And
go
they're
without.
they're incredibly beautiful.
Yes. Thank
Our place has just these dismal gray countertops, and pretty much actually our entire countertop was covered by the tube.
Yeah,
So,
I
you get
know.
this awesome stained, multiple. Not even sure what kind of woods there are in there, but they're incredible.
Yeah, they're beautiful. No, it's actually it's so cool. We're so glad you started doing that.
Well, I'm so glad you just take, I love all of them.
Yeah.
And they're all so pretty in their own way. That's
They
why I
are.
have like 4 or 5 in my kitchen. Whoops, I keep taking them home. Similar to you, when I see stuff, I'm like, oh, Vanessa will love this. And, oh, it matches mine, so she needs it. Okay, cool, done. And I just
justify it. Yeah, I know. It's
keep filling up your counters.
I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So okay, so that's Woodchen. What else do you have going on these days? What else do you want to share with people about what your days look like and what really you're most happy to be doing these days?
Well, living with Glenn, an author, it changes moment to moment, day to day. I mean, really, my day is set up around our meals. That seems to be like the most important thing, especially since he's in the thick of it with his project. Me being able to fuel him throughout is my main focus, as well as like doing my cutting board stuff. And now I'm just developing all the content. So, and working out. So I feel like I do that stuff throughout the day.
It's cool because, people don't really realize that, but especially when people get into a work grind, oftentimes their food is the first thing. The quality of their food is the first thing to go by the wayside because they don't have time. So they start going, oh, I would eat better, but I don't have time. And often when you're that busy, it's the most important time to have good nourishment because clearly, like, you're utilizing all your faculties. You're on full demand. So you need that nourishment to really carry you through those difficult times. So it's interesting that you say that. When he's in the thick of it, it's awesome that you can work together and you can help complement that effort because those are important products that he's creating for the world at large, for especially for the paleo and CrossFit community. And it's awesome that collaboration of your marriage and the way that you support each other and take care of each other is actually creating a really important message in the world.
Yeah, totally. And it's
cool.
like there's anybody that's had any experience with writing or writing anything, writing music or doing anything artistic and creative like that, you realize that, the creative process is not necessarily something you can turn off and on. And even though there's deadlines and there's all this kind of stuff, it's like you can sit down and say, okay, be creative now. And it just doesn't happen, So when the flow is there and the things need to be done and you're in that zone, it's like you need
it to not be interrupted.
Have your back.
Yeah, and exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what's for Glenn. He just wants to maximize his time. And he doesn't have time to sit and make a meal for himself, let alone hardly even heat it up. But, so if I can just deliver that to him and make sure he's nourished, like, to me, that feels like one of the biggest gifts that I can give him is just health. And if I can do that through cooking, it really, like, makes my heart sing.
Yeah, and it nourishes you too. So it's like win-win. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what are some tips that you could give to people who aren't lucky enough to have a partner who can help prepare meals and make sure that they're taken care of that way? What are some of your, like, how do you lay out your week so that, you have everything set up so it's the easiest to go to?
Yeah, typically before I go grocery store shopping, I'll sit down and I'll plan out the entire week. So I'll plan breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'll look through my recipe books if there's anything that I need to grab for those recipes. I'll lay it all out, write up the menu, like the list of groceries, and then I go shopping, and then we just go shopping once a week. And then I ordered a half a cow from Bar 10 Ranch in Utah, and I ordered a whole bunch of chicken from Tendergrass Greens, so my freezer's always stocked. So typically it's just a Whole Foods run just for veggies, and that's about it. That's like pretty nice. That's condense the amount of work that we need to do for our food every week.
And then when you get home, I notice, like, you go and you get all your lettuce prepared, like, you get everything set up so you can just grab things, right?
Yeah. So and at the beginning of the week, I'll make sure there's like a whole bunch of bananas that can brown, so I can put them in the freezers for kale shakes. I have my greens that I ice bath and then dry and put into breathable bags so that every time I take them out of the crisper, they're nice and crisp. That just makes it easy. If Glenn is hungry and he wants to do a kale shake, everything's prepared. He can do it, grab it, and go to his office.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do. There's a lot of food prep stuff that I do. I know I just got back from Bali and it was like a week of just getting bone broth ready, restocking the freezer, just like getting all that stuff dialed in.
And you mentioned the ice bath for vegetables or for your lettuce. I think you have something on your blog about that, right? So if people want to learn more about why you would do an ice bath for your lettuce, it's kind of a cool blog that you wrote about preserving nutrients and stuff in the lettuce.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can check that blog out, which is great. And then, every time I get all my lettuce home, I tear it all off. I put it in an ice bath for 10 minutes, and then I spin it out and dry it, and then I just put it in a breathable bag, which is basically just a large Ziploc bag with 10 pinholes in it, so that it can breathe.
Cool.
And that keeps it fresher longer and nice and crisp. And I do that with the kale too, and it makes it so much easier for cooking because, like, for me, I hate washing and spinning lettuce before making a salad. It just annoys me. It's like another step. And usually you grab it from the crisper. It's all limp and nasty. It's just not good. So grabbing lettuce just fresh, I eat a salad a day now because of it.
Right.
Really
Because you're
increased my
excited to
veggie
eat it.
uptake.
Yeah.
And it's crisp. Like, no, that is. When you get a nice crisp salad, it's delicious.
And do you eat salad once a day, twice a day?
Like at least once a day, if not twice a day. And some kind of fermented vegetable is intertwined with one of those. So yeah, that's another big thing was fermented veggies. Adding that to my diet has been huge.
And you have been in talks with Victory Bell, obviously with Glenn's publishing company, about doing a soups and salads cookbook, right?
Yes.
Did we just
No
we let the
signed
cat out of the bag?
contract. There's no signed contract, but we're working on it. We're working on things. There's always things in the pipelines, right? So,
Cool. Awesome.
So yeah, working on some
Well,
stuff.
it's funny because it seems like a really simple idea, like, soups and salads. But honestly, I think it would be like my favorite cookbook because we do soup and salad almost every day, especially now that people are so onto the bone broth and they're really incorporating that.
Exactly.
They want recipes,
Yeah.
because we obviously, Katie and I will make egg drop soup like it's going out of style, but sometimes you want something else.
No, yeah, it's and we're so blessed we get to work from home, so we're always eating soup and salad for lunch. That's like one of the main things. So yeah, we can get that cup of broth in a day that Chris Kresser recommends, and then for our salads, we're getting tons of fresh greens, and I'm always putting fermented veggies in there, so I'm getting fermented foods in there too.
Awesome.
And I don't know, it makes me feel better eating a lot of those greens. I think so many people now in the paleo sphere, they just don't eat enough greens. That has
I
been
agree.
the biggest
just
changer.
because the pig ate greens doesn't mean the bacon's going to give you everything you need.
No.
Yeah.
And digestive wise too, you just need a lot of that fiber
Yeah.
and matter.
It's funny too. The pendulum does swing where everyone's like, "I can eat bacon." Oh, I'm just gonna eat bacon all the time. But it's like, oh no, you still need to eat vegetables. You still need to have a variety of foods and get a variety of those nourishing. I guess, but
You just need a spectrum.
Micronutrients.
Yeah.
micronutrients. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm like a spectrum of
those-
something.
The
Those
spectrum
things.
of all the things.
What are the good things?
Yeah.
So maybe you could actually give us just a quick breakdown of like what does a normal meal day look like, or what does a normal eating day look like? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever.
So lately, my routine has been to wake up and drink a huge glass of water or a hot tea with just lemon and honey, like a half a squeezed lemon and like a teaspoon of honey. So it's either one of those, and then we go on a long walk, and then we come home. We'll eat some breakfast that's typically like ham and green onions and eggs with some Brussels sprouts on the side, and then lunch is some kind of like butternut squash soup with the salad, and dinner's typically like, I don't know, just some kind of meat, some beef or chicken, and always sweet potato fries. And again, some kind of green, if not another salad. That's really how I said. And if we do have a treat, then that's more of like the nut-based, sugar-based kind of thing that we do. But mostly throughout the day, that's
And
I
it's
stick to
cool
greens
because
and meat.
one thing that I've really appreciated about Katie over the years is that when I first met her, she really didn't cook at all. Like you really didn't know how to cook, or it's funny because like you tell me now, oh, you taught me how to do this, and I'm like, really? That's hilarious.
Just stir-fried it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because I do remember back then you just didn't really know a lot about cooking. Most of the things that you prepared were more conventional as you'd been growing up, so you just didn't have a lot of a compass for lots of vegetables, and you didn't like vegetables.
Oh, it took me 2 years to eat broccoli without throwing it back up. 2 years. I was like, Rob, is there anything else I could eat? He's like, well, you just like bell peppers and cucumbers, so I guess you could just keep eating those. I was like, fine. So I did, until at some point you get sick of bell peppers and cucumbers and onions, and then I just start adding things back in. But yeah, it's been hard. Like even the kale shakes are sometimes hard for me. I just
Especially
too dense
the one
of greens. It just tastes like seaweed, and I can't do it.
and I made one with pickle juice one time that
And kombucha. and pickle juice and kombucha, and I think a massive piece of ginger. I was like,
It was hilarious.
could not even.
Yeah, sorry.
Similar to the liver pills.
It's tough.
I would really like to eat organ meats and, take
It's
all
the
those
final
things.
frontier.
It is the final frontier. So I made all these pills and I took all these photos for a nice blog post, and it took so long. And then I go to try it and I seriously threw it back up. It was so terrible. Dropped to my knees like, how the hell do people take 4 a day? Like, no, I can't even do one. I'll go back.
That's awesome.
I'll look online for some other pills or desiccated liver ones because I just can't do the raw. It's so sad.
It's tough, man. That is definitely the final frontier. Some people just take to it and it's no
Yeah.
problem.
And then wasn't it Liz that was talking about blending it in
Yes.
soups?
Yes.
So she'll take like the liver and just blend it
Yeah.
up in whatever soup.
Or
I've never
chilies,
tried
I
it, but-
heard, like chop it up and put it in chilies, and then I have like this chicken liver pate I need to try that's made with half butter. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do that one. And crackers. So I was like, okay, crackers and butter and a little bit of liver. Okay, but I'm just not there yet.
Don't worry, everyone. They're gluten-free crackers.
Yeah, of course. Jill's
Don't get
snack.
nervous.
They're Jill's paleo snack crackers.
Yeah.
That's actually probably a good thing to do. What are some of your favorite products? Like 3 to 5 top products in this sphere.
Like the ones that I use the most. Well, I do love the Tin Star ghee. I cook with it on everything. It goes on everything. It makes
Yeah,
everything
it's
better.
amazing.
So that I make sure I have like at least 3 32-ounce jars on stock all the time.
Yeah.
What else do I love? For food wise, I love those fermented vegetables. Like adding the ginger carrots that I get from Whole Foods onto like all my salads makes it so easy to get fermented veggies in.
Mm-hmm.
That one, and I love it's talking about fat. I just love butter and stuff, I guess. But Fat Face Skincare,
yeah.
I've been really, really digging their stuff. Especially being in Vegas, it's so dry. Having a product that actually moisturizes is really nice. So I've been using that Fat Face, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's
Because
stuff's
usually my
amazing.
skin's really sensitive, and that and that fermented cod liver oil that does it really good for my skin. It's been really well. And I guess another product that I love is I just love my barefoot moccasins. I just can't wear shoes anymore. So, I've been leaning towards the moccasins and other shoes. But so far, the moccasins fit the bill of semi kind of cool looking barefoot shoes. Not like I want to run a marathon, but I just want to go walk around, like Whole Foods without being stared at about my 5 fingers. No, I'm not going to grab anything off the shelf with my feet. So it's good. So those, and of
Although
course
you do
Lulu's.
have toes that could grab something off the
I
off
do.
the
So
shelf.
why have shoes restrict them? Like,
You don't even need shoes for that. Katie has these amazingly finger-like toes that she can grab stuff and.
I love
Spider
when
monkey.
Glenn drops his spoon or fork on the floor, and I can pick it up and hand it to him that way.
Party tricks. Party tricks. That's awesome. So, okay, well, we did top things that you like to use. What are your top exercises that you do or movement patterns that you use all the time?
Well, if you go to my blog, then you know that I'm most interested in kind of training my glutes and getting those. Years of CrossFit led me with these massive quadriceps. So I'm constantly trying to tame those down and get my glutes to kind of go back up. So I do a ton of bridges and weighted bridges, which would be called hip thrusts. Tons of lunges. I've been doing a lot of sprints lately, trying to bring those back. And we have this great pull-up bar that's on our walk that we do in the morning. So Glenn and I make sure we stop there and do at least, I do 10, he does 30, pull-ups every single time.
Awesome.
And that's really great because that's been helping get my numbers back up, you know, because they just dwindle so fast, you know?
With pull-ups especially. It's if you don't use them, you lose them.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just
It
try
is.
to do at least 10 a day, and that helps keep my numbers because I'd like to get, back. If I could do 15 in a row, I'd be stoked.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
number.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good
that's,
number.
that's solid. Okay, so do you supplement with anything?
I don't actually take a ton of supplements except for that fermented cod liver oil. I take that. Sometimes I've been taking that krill oil every now and then and some EPA, but other than that, no, that's it. But I just don't take any supplements.
No, that's
What fermented cod liver oil?
I do the Green Pastures,
Yeah.
Green Pastures fermented cod liver oil. And
The
is it
pills?
the one? Yeah, I do the pills. Yeah. So that's the one. They all have vitamin A and D in them, right? It's not
Yeah,
the
and
one with the
K2.
butter oil or anything. I think it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think you got the same stuff that I use, but I accidentally bought the just liquid with a syringe.
Oh, there's a liquid with a
Oh my
syringe.
God.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that. 'Cause
No.
then you just have to like squirt it into the back of your mouth.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it just sticks.
Yeah, I tried putting it in a kale shake. I was like, here, I'll just put like 3 grams in the kale shake.
that's terrible.
Awful.
Sort it in the kale shakes.
Well, you don't. I mean, you
It's
do
worse
it
than the
once.
pickle juice.
It's horrible.
Because they do have like it's not liquid. It's like it's kind of solid
Yeah, the stuff that
in the
solidifies.
fridge. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can just take that on a little knife and put it down. It's not bad.
Oh yeah, no.
But the
that's
liquid,
not,
I couldn't
yeah,
even imagine. No.
Straight up
I
syringe.
think I do the orange flavored
When you
pills.
have the pills.
Yeah, with the pills,
totally.
yeah.
And flavored pills make a difference.
Oh yeah, it helps. It
You
helps,
know?
especially on those burps when they come back up. You're like, okay, that's not too bad. It's orange flavored.
Yeah, I don't want to taste cat food right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your favorite cookbooks? Katie, really quick though. Sorry, before I interrupt you. All right, I will interrupt you. Katie has every single cookbook known in the paleo world, obviously, because her husband is one of the main authors for Victory Belt, so she's got access. But it's amazing. It's like a library of paleo cookbooks here.
I do love them. I
Yeah.
cook from all of them, but my two, it's so hard to say favorites, but the ones I cook out of most are Ancestral Table and Ladled. Those two, those are my favorite. I love that they don't cook with a ton of almond flour. They cook with more, some of them cook with like more rice flour and arrowroot starch, and for me that's just so much better for my stomach. My stomach can just not handle a ton of the nut flours. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the
typically
same way. I think it's one of the first things that people do when they start venturing back into the baking world or incorporating any kind of breaded style cooking, and they go to the almond flour, and it's like, man, it's pretty hardcore.
It just sits in
Yeah.
your belly too. So yeah, that. And I like that they use a little bit of white rice and aren't afraid to use cream and butter. And it just makes recipes so much better. And
Yeah.
I enjoy my food better now. And yeah, those are the two books that I constantly go back to, because when I do make their recipes, they turn out awesome. Some
Right.
books, you open them, it's like you get one good recipe and then some are kind of a miss. But like for those ones, I just love every single one.
So, as we kind of wrap up this podcast and wind down a little bit, I just want you to maybe tell people out there what you think the 3 most important things are in terms of your wellness picture these days.
I definitely put sleep at the top. That's something that's uber important to me now. I realize that I'm a kind of person that needs like 9 hours of sleep. So that's actually helped a ton. And getting movement in every day, making sure that I tell myself that that's the goal every day has really helped make it so that I move, and not necessarily just do super hard workouts every day. It's like, no, just move, do something every day, lift up a weight, go outside, find something that you enjoy. That's a big piece of my day.
We just had a major leaf blower guy in the backyard starting to do the yard work in the next door neighbor, so we're going to wrap this up. But I did want to really quickly mention something we were talking about earlier, which is how learning how to cook really did improve your wellness picture. And you were talking about that, knowing how to cook makes a big difference, right?
It makes a huge difference. I've learned how to cook so much out of the cookbooks, but really my steeping in cooking comes from when I was really young, doing a ton of 4-H. It was painful to go every day. My mom forced it, and if I didn't go, then, we had 4-H classes at our house because my mom was the cooking instructor, the sewing instructor, the art instructor. Like, she had everything in the gardening. So I learned a ton of stuff from her. But, listening to your parents, it's always hard. But I learned a ton of baking and just techniques and just basics there. And with the cookbooks and just all that kind of stuff layering on, yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
really what
So people
what
learn
I'm
how to
trying
cook, and I'm talking to myself when I say that, because I do actually know how to cook, but I don't love it. But learning to love it is such a great improvement to your wellness picture. So
Yeah, and trying to make cooking fun too, you know, and carving out time so it's not so much of a pain, because I think that's really what it is people just don't have time to cook,
Right.
so they just throw something together and
Sure.
eat it, and then
It's
it's
not
fine,
fun.
it's okay,
Yeah.
it works, but they're just never really satiated because their food's never,
Right.
they're never really enjoying what they eat. They're just eating to move on to the next, you
Yeah.
know, to get things done. So.
And I get inspired by you, because you do use all your cookbooks and you swap in, you know, you have some basics, like some standard recipes that are your go-tos,
Yeah.
but you're constantly trying new things. You're always, you know, hey, did you try this out of, you know, so-and-so's cookbook? And it's really cool because it inspires me to get like, oh yeah, I need to get more creative and get back to getting excited about new recipes. So it's really cool.
Yeah, the recipes help. Especially, I love the recipe books, especially living in Vegas, because I go to the grocery store and I shop and I buy things and I cook them. When I was living in NorCal, that was never the case, because I went to the farmer's market. I cook what was in season, and that was it.
Right.
So I've kind of switched up my cooking, but it's just kind of transferred into a different way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. You know, Adam and I just adore you. And
Well, I adore you, of course. You guys have taken care of me since I was a wee little one,
yeah.
bothering you at your.
Well, and we're
Never
just so
giving
proud of you. You're just doing an amazing job in the world as a person, as a woman, as just, you know, a paleo pioneer, and it's really beautiful to watch your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Bug, for
Yeah,
being on.
yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure we'll do this again.
Yeah,
of
we
course.
love
Well,
you.
thank you
Yeah.
for letting me be part of your journey too. Of course, we've kind of all been on this together, growing and learning, and I feel so lucky to be surrounded by such positive, inspirational people. It constantly makes me want to be better. So I'm lucky.
Well, thanks. So you can check out Katie at paleobug.com or shopwoodchin.com, right?
Yep.
That's your Woodchin
Exactly.
store.
And we'll put links in the show notes to the podcast, so they'll be in the description. But check her out; she's got a lot of awesome products, a lot
Yes.
of cool things
Yep.
going on.
All right.
Thank you
Love
guys
girl.
so much.
All
Love you
right.
too.
Okay. See you
Bye,
guys. Bye.
There's music and good vibes and laughter and lovers, adventure and friendship. We know who we are. And I don't think I would be me without you being you. Your direction, expression, intention has taken us far. We were young, we pictured some of this. I don't know how we know what we'd become. Yeah, the ones who never knew just how lucky they would become. Yeah, the lucky ones.